And I'm not giving up, I'm not giving up, no, not me. Even if nobody else believes, I'm not going down that easily. So don't give up on me.
Hey everyone, are you wrapped for Christ? Are you fired up for Jesus? Welcome back to Radical Christianity, the show where we highlight God in action. I'm your host, Drew, and I am so honored to have you here with us today. Okay, we have some really terrific guests coming up, but since it's June, can we talk about Pride Month? I'm sure you have noticed that it started already. I mean, how could you not? There is a rainbow flag almost everywhere you look. It's like a legion of leprechauns have taken over every business out there. This month, you can get a rainbow version of nearly anything. But come on, you gotta appreciate the creativity during Pride Month, when companies turn everyday objects into Pride-themed products. I'm not just talking about rainbows on t-shirts and rainbow-patterned socks, but they've gone extreme with rainbow-colored lawnmowers and rainbow-striped toothpaste and matching toothbrushes. Nothing says inclusivity better than capitalistic exploitation. But this hasn't been all happy rainbows, glitter, and feather boas. In fact, this year there has been some serious pushback to the Pride Month products. Corporations like Target have pulled a lot of LGBTQ products off their shelves due to protests and threats of violence. This type of pushback is interesting because the concept of Pride Month began with a series of riots for gay liberation that took place over several days beginning on June 28, 1969. The riots started when the police raided a gay bar located within Lower Manhattan in New York City called the Stonewall Inn. Now, the Stonewall Uprising is considered the tipping point for the gay liberation movement in the United States. It's a bit ironic. The LGBTQ community fights for acceptance and tolerance of their lifestyles, but spews visceral hatred towards anyone with opposing opinions or beliefs, throwing around terms like homophobe and heterosexist in an effort to shame people. They also use the term cisgender to refer to non-transgender. Isn't it easier just to say normal? I mean, the Q in LGBTQ stands for queer, which means abnormal. It's interesting how during Pride Month, people emphasize the importance of inclusivity and acceptance, but if I say I have an opinion different from theirs, suddenly acceptance is a faux pas and my invite to the glitter party gets lost in the mail. They claim to celebrate diversity, yet the moment someone expresses a different viewpoint, that person is called intolerant. It's like saying we welcome everyone as long as they think exactly like us. Also, I can't keep up with all the new letter combinations. It's like trying to learn a secret code. Just when I think I've got it, someone adds another letter, and it's back to square one. Can we have a cheat sheet, please? And can someone please tell me why the letter combinations keep growing? First it was LGBT, then it became LGBTQ, then LGBTQIA. I'm waiting for the day when we have the entire alphabet in there. Since they like to choose their own gender pronouns, maybe they could just adopt the choose-your-own-letter adventure approach and everyone create their own personalized acronyms. Well, that'd be more confusing. It feels like we're playing a game of Scrabble on expert mode. Soon we'll need a dictionary just to understand the acronyms. LGBTQIA, wait, is there a triple word score for that? You know that Q is worth 10 points. It sounds like we're reciting the alphabet backwards. It's like we're on a linguistic roller coaster. Hang on tight, folks, we're about to hit the triple loop-de-loop of inclusivity. During Pride Month, some people take their love for rainbows to a whole nother level. I wouldn't be surprised if they start using Skittles as currency and have a secret society where they exchange rainbow-colored unicorns for favors. And can we talk about the use of the rainbow? Now, Christians and LGBT community have different takes on rainbow symbolism. Christians see it as a sign of God's covenant, while the LGBTQ community sees it as a fabulous fashion statement. The rainbow used to be a symbol of unity and hope for everyone, until the LGBTQ community went and snatched it like a kid who refuses to share their favorite toy. I bet Noah is up there thinking, God shared the rainbow with everyone, not just for fabulous parades. It's like when I tell them I prefer rainbow sherbet over other flavors, suddenly I'm accused of appropriation. Can't a straight person enjoy a colorful frozen treat? And it's not just the alphabet or rainbows. Glitter too. Have you ever noticed how much Pride Month parades have more glitter than a fairy's closet? I mean, it's impressive, but if they keep throwing glitter around like that, we're gonna find it in our pancakes months later. I saw a sign at a Pride event that said, "Love is love." I couldn't agree more. But then I wondered, can I say humor is humor when people get offended by my dad jokes? It's like a double standard for punchlines, right? Christians love diversity, and we've got a song to prove it. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. It's like a diversity anthem straight from Sunday school. Can we all just sing it together and remember that love extends to everyone, rainbows included? We must recognize that not everyone will agree on every issue, and that's okay. As Christians, our duty lies not in demanding that others conform to our beliefs, but extending compassion, respect, and the willingness to listen. Just as we yearn for understanding and acceptance, it's important to remember that the LGBT community also seeks to be recognized as fellow human beings, deserving dignity and respect. Pride Month serves as a reminder that every individual deserves to be seen, heard, and valued. It is an opportunity to celebrate the unique experiences and contributions of the LGBTQ community. However, it is essential to acknowledge that this celebration should never be a reason to force others into agreement or create an atmosphere of animosity. Let us remember that love knows no boundaries. It's a guiding principle that transcends our differences and calls us to bridge divides. Just as we aspire to be understood and respected for our Christian beliefs, we should extend the same courtesy to those with differing perspectives. So, as we navigate these conversations, let's approach them with open hearts and minds, seeking common ground and fostering dialogue. It is through understanding and respect that we can work towards a society where love prevails and unity flourishes. May we be reminded of the words of Jesus, who taught us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Let us embody the true essence of Christianity by fostering love, acceptance, and understanding in all aspects of our lives. Remember, it is in unity that we find strength, and in compassion that we find true transformation. You know what's ironic? In June, people put up rainbow flags to support Pride Month. And in July, they take them down and replace them with American flags for Independence Day. It's like, yay, equality for 1 month. And then back to regular programming. Okay, folks, that's it for now. We're about to hear from some great guests, so let's get on with the show. So tell me, are you rad for Christ? Are you fired up for Jesus? All right, woo! Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Audrey Redmond. Woo! Hi, Audrey. So great to have you here.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. Audrey, welcome to Radical Christianity.
Thank you.
Great. So this is a fun treat. You get to talk about your ministry, and I get to learn a little about you. That's a sweet opportunity. So the way we kind of do things here is we kind of start with your testimony, kind of how you met Jesus, and then kind of roll into how Jesus led you into your ministry.
Well, I met Jesus when I was 7 years old, so I've always been in the church. I've never left it. And I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was. Don't want to tell you.
It's only been 15 years, right?
Oh, of course. Maybe 20. But about 12 years ago, I was the administrator for West Fresno Ministerial Alliance. And working with a group of ministers is a real treat. Real treat.
I imagine juggling some egos was...
Oh, yes. Yes. Different nationalities were in there finally. We had the city of Fresno and the city of Clovis together in there, which had never happened. But I made a lot of changes. And after 10 years of not really, I guess, being what they thought that I should be as a woman, quiet, with me that doesn't work very well. And so I actually just when COVID started, I just said, I'm done. I'm retiring. I'm done. And about a couple of months later, I thought, I've got to do something. I can't sit around this house doing nothing. And I decided to look at the seniors during COVID. They were so sequestered. No visitors, nothing. And I thought, now what can I do? So I decided that I would make calls and write letters and things like this, and talked to Mark and got my nonprofit status in October 2 years ago. And so from that point on, I took the woman that was my assistant with the Alliance, came with me, and we called and did cards and things, and then it began to pick up. We've got about 100 seniors on our list, and there's about 5 states. We're not the only state. California's not the only one. And it's because of a friend has thought, well, they would appreciate a mother or a father, or somebody would appreciate receiving a card because they were single or they were alone or they were trying to take care of each other. So that's how we got started. The first year that we were together, believe it or not, we raised quite a bit of money to the point where that first year we were able to give 125 what we call ditty bags to the VA hospital.
Okay, ditty bags. What's in a ditty bag?
Oh, we had socks and lap blankets and caps and just whatever we thought that they could use. So, and we gave 70 some, I think it was 75 gifts to the seniors. The same thing, people would give us what we needed. Someone would make us lap blankets, a whole lot of them, and we were able to do that. And last year, we were able to give 2 truckloads of food, frozen food, to the homeless veterans. They have a place where you can take your gift or whatever you're giving, and they can go there and get whatever they want. People don't quite understand homeless does not mean being without a home. It means that I'm staying with someone or wherever I can stay with the family.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the street or in a tent.
It doesn't always mean that.
It could mean that you're doing the couch tour.
So we gave 2 truckloads. One was frozen food that had been given to us by a church, and we were able to do that. And we also gave almost 100 Christmas gifts to our seniors.
Wow.
And now we have once a month, it's usually the 4th Thursday, unless the months have 5 in it, we give a luncheon. And it costs the seniors $5, and we have speakers. This month we're having a movie, a Christian movie. It's at my church, and I've partnered with them. And we give them lunch, usually from 1 to 3, something like that. And they look forward to coming. And we have little drawings for little gifts and make sure the speaker gets a gift. And now we're preparing for our fundraiser. We were talking about that. We got cactus, and some of them are so pretty. They're yellows and pinks. And my assistant, if I would try to do what she did, they'd never buy anything. But she's good at her job. So I'm waiting to see how she's going to put all these cactus together. And then I'm working on another planter at home. So we'll have those for sale. And people I had one of the seniors just walk up to me a couple of months ago and says, "Here, take this. I'm donating this to you," and put a $100 bill in my hand.
Aw.
And we have people last year that gave us over $2,000. So we have managed to do what we do because of, it's called the dollar store. We go and she goes, and we have spent a lot of our own money too.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I'm currently in a position where I'm spending a lot of my own money.
You'll spend a lot of your own money until you're able to hit it rich, so to speak, that there's someone that really likes what you're doing. And you have to know and be very passionate about what you're doing. You're probably talking to me, you see I talk with my hands, and I'm very passionate about the seniors. So I don't mind spending the money to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I have volunteers, 2 women from our church, particularly one that calls about 70 people a month to get them to come to the luncheon. And I have my set, and the church has the seniors at the church. So she calls my set too to remind them of the luncheon, and she'll pray with them, talk to them for a long time. And they look forward to her calling because some of the seniors are alone. They don't have visitors. And if you know us, we love to talk.
Really? That's a surprise.
Yeah, we love to talk.
Actually, I used to do volunteering at an assisted care living facility, and I know about, they don't care about what I have to say. All they want is someone to sit and listen.
Just sit there, and they go back to World War II and are farther back. And they just love to talk. But I tell people, particularly we're trying to work the young people in with it, don't talk, listen. You will learn an awful lot that will keep you out of a whole lot of situations in your life if you just listen to what they've got to say.
Listen and ask questions. That is what I would recommend to everybody who is watching now, and if you go and volunteer with the senior citizens in the home, or they're just somebody that's at their own house or whatever, you will learn a vast resource of information, and there's so many stories you have no idea how many stories you'll hear. But all you have to do is be there, present, be open to listening, and prompt them to go further with questions. If you want to know deeper about something, ask questions. That is always a winning route.
I had a friend, he's been deceased for many years now, but he was a senior and he loved to talk. And some of the stories he would tell me, he was a Marine. Oh, and back then, you either did or you got out, a man or a mouse. And some of the things he would tell me that he did, he would have me cracking up. Just stupid stuff. But and I know you may be wondering, okay, he was a senior then. Well, I'm well into my senior years. So we were in that same area of age-wise. But he died probably about 15 years ago.
Oh.
But he was in World War II, Korean War, so he was up in age.
Yeah.
And at that point, they drank a lot and did a lot of stuff that was not good for their health. So, and then they didn't have people like me to say, hey, let's...
Yeah. Well, back in World War II, they didn't even know smoking was bad for them, right?
No, they didn't know a lot of drinking was bad, but what they went through, if you listen to them now to tell you what they went through, you'd do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I know people that they aren't alcoholics, but they drink heavy to self-medicate. Whether it be for pain and they don't want to take drugs, or you know what I mean.
That's true.
Or they've just dealt with some serious life trauma. Yeah,
and they still, PTSD doesn't leave you. So from World War II, you can talk to some of them now, and you can see the tenseness in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to work with one of my, well, this pastor is on my board, but he's one of my favorite big teddy bears. He was in, I think, the Korean War, and they're taking all these flights and things to Washington. And I don't know, why do you, you've got a wife, why are you relying upon me? He'll call me, so-and-so, you need to do, why are you calling me? But I go ahead and do it, so. But they're lonely too, because a lot of them, their wives have been dead. They're in their 90s, 80s, so. But I just love my seniors. I really, really do.
Well, it's really clear you have a heart for them. That's awesome. So, what about volunteers? Do you have a lot of volunteers? Do you need more volunteers?
We need volunteers to do a lot of the writing. Anything that goes out of my office, it's handwritten.
Okay.
And I handwrite 70, 80, and 100 of those in a month's time.
That's a lot of
And
writing.
I've gotten to a point I look at my handwriting and it's not the same. Just wait till you get there, you'll see that too. But I would like to have someone that could write the envelopes and have them written ahead of time, that all I'd have to do is pull them out. But they'd have to understand that what they see and what they hear and what they do, confidentiality is extremely important to me, very important. And then it does not go out of the office. They have to come in, even if it's a couple of hours a week, they'd have to come in to do the job.
Yeah.
And the phone calls, if I had someone that understood how to raise funds and how to go about that, it would help.
Yeah.
It would help me, because I do all of this, plus everything else, and I keep up with birthdays, I keep up with anniversaries. If there's a condolence, I keep up with all those cards, and I even keep up with, we're talking today. When I get back to the office, I have a form that I fill out so that if someday we would like to apply for a grant, you're going to have that information. How many people did you talk to? Who did you talk to? When did you? So I've got all of that. Well, I have to put all of that together when I get to the office.
Yeah.
So
That's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, so you need somebody who it can be confidential and can write stuff for you.
Yeah, and have a legible handwriting.
Oh no, forget about that. This is 2023.
Yeah. Well, I have a legible handwriting, but the way I make some of my letters, W's particularly, you look at it and you think it would be a 3 with a tail end on it. And so.
Yeah, my handwriting's atrocious because I spend all my time typing on the computer. So I mean, if I spend really slow with it,
Yeah.
it can be legible, and I can print pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, over the years, my handwriting
Yeah,
has been severely neglected.
And it's only, most of these kids have no idea what it is to sit down and actually write. They have to be on the
They
computer.
don't even teach cursive anymore.
No, no. That's why they can't read my writing. Because I write most of my stuff. I know a computer. I'm not illiterate. I use a computer to type out my letters. But if I type out 100 letters, every letter has a signature on it. It's not that I sign it and copy it. Each one is signed individually.
That's the personal touch is important. You know, I know that a lot of people appreciate that. Well, in the business world, nobody cares, but you know.
Well, to be very honest with you, if I receive a letter with handwriting, I'm more apt to open it and quicker than I am to see something that comes to me that has been typed out to me. Now, when it comes to your personal things, it's different. But just to send something to me that's, no, it usually it's in file 13 before I read it.
File 13 is, what's that?
The trash
Yeah,
basket.
Trash basket. I was going to guess that.
Yeah, the trash
There we go.
basket.
Yeah, most of the stuff I interact with, most of the stuff that I have to sign usually isn't exchanged in person unless I'm doing it at the location. Usually they were like, can you send us a PDF or something like that? So it's,
Yeah. Well, that's fine. And if you notice, I came prepared.
oh, here we go. Sharing senior love. This is nice.
Now, this brochure, one of the seniors that is in our group paid to have those done.
Nice.
He and another friend of his paid for 100 of those to have those done for us.
This is really clean. All right, so you have a website, hopelightlove.org. Okay, hopelightlove.org. And you can be found on Facebook under Sharing Senior Love as well.
Yes.
Okay, that's
We've
great.
tried not to go into all of the commercial that we think that TikTok and all that. Seniors are not into going. Most of them, if they've ever worked with computers, when they get home, they don't want to see another computer.
No, I understand. And considering that you're trying to get, the majority of it is serving the seniors, right? And so they're not really watching the computer for entertainment purposes.
No.
So, yeah, so TikTok and Instagram and,
It's
probably
not of interest to
no,
them.
probably not.
No.
Yeah.
And I know for certain, I hardly look at television at home. I will look at the news, which is on Channel 30 at 5:30. That's the only news. And then I tape the Lone Ranger. That shows you how far back. I have all of the Lone Ranger's tapes. Nothing on television in the evening. I watch my Lone Ranger and Perry Mason.
Perry Mason. I used to watch Perry Mason when I was a child. Well, and a little bit older than that, but yeah.
Yeah, these are all old black and white, and
I'm still fond of the Andy Griffith Show. I will still watch that whenever I can.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's on Netflix now. And
a lot of the old ones are coming back. A lot of the seniors are watching the older shows because there's really nothing that they want to see. The language and the music and things are not.
My grandfather got me watching the Andy Griffith Show when I was little. He would we would watch it together, and he would always tell me the world's just not like this anymore. The world's just not like this anymore.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
No, and I look at the Lone Ranger and I wonder, was this really this way back in the Western days? And after you've seen enough of them, it was, but was there really this person? So one of these days I'll do some research to find out if it really was or not. So, but I watch the older things because there's really nothing for me that I'm interested in that I really want to watch.
Yeah, I have a wide range of interests, but there is something very special about the nostalgic feeling of those old, like, I have a list of the older shows that I enjoy, and people are like, oh, how old are you that you're watching these things? I'm like, I really enjoy the Rockford Files. I enjoy Barnaby Jones.
Yeah.
Mannix.
That's another one that I watch.
Yes, these shows. Columbo.
Yes.
I love Columbo. He's always got these, these techniques.
He is so.
Yes. There's so many. There's from the late '60s, early '70s. There are so many great TV shows.
Indeed. And the music that we have in today's society, you talk to the seniors and they have no clue of what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, That's accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll talk to me and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I actually have to sometimes Google things that people are talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Well, the music that they had back then, in comparison to what we have today, today is the same verbiage over and over and over, and they don't have the musicians and things like Louis Armstrong, and jazz was my favorite. You don't even hear of jazz anymore.
No. Although there's a lot of jazz in hip hop music still, you know what I mean? But yeah, you were right. First of all, most music nowadays is digitally created, right? Or it's electronic in some degree, which basically blows out the musicianship that's required to,
Right.
I mean, even like playing guitar, people are like, oh, it's so hard. It's like, no, it's actually pretty easy to play guitar. Try picking up the saxophone.
Yeah, and you have to use your lungs to blow. Yeah, it's difficult. But you think about the musicians that were way back then, what they went through to get to where they were.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen to this generation, because the music is just not the same. The people that play the music are not the same quality of people, and I know I probably get a backlash from that one, but you have to walk a mile in the shoes that I walked in from then to now, and maybe you'll see the difference.
Well, I can tell the difference from just my limited experience, but I mean, I'm not a young man, but
Well, the church music is not even the same.
I'm not very fond of modern church music. Some of the songs are beautiful, you know what I mean, but they're not. Okay, so like my grandfather taught me how to read music from old hymnals. He would actually bring the old hymnal out, and he'd be like, "Oh, this is how you sing it. This is how you follow it with the voice," and and so it's like, so and he would play at his church, so I was very familiar with the what now they called old-timey music.
It's more stoic back then. They add jazz. It's like an upbeat, jazzy type of music, and sadly enough, for me in my house, it's more entertaining than it is music for the setting of the church. But
well, that's what they do. I mean, they're trying to put butts in the seats and dollars in the coffers, and that's they got to do what they got to do. I understand that. Plus, they got to feed to a next generation. There's children that are like that are not really going to be interested in hearing
that's true.
a 3-4 time Amazing Grace.
That's quite true.
So
it really is, but it's really sad. And also, the other sad part about it for me and particularly the seniors is that a lot of these ministers in today, I'll put it that way, have no business being in a pulpit.
It's also pretty accurate. I know some of those stories firsthand right now that, of course, we're not going to say anything, so you're safe.
Oh, no. We talk, but names, no.
Nope. Thank you so much for coming on today,
you're
Audrey.
welcome.
You have been a complete joy. I wish we could just continue talking. We're going to have you back for an update on things that are going on.
Love to come back, because we're getting ready to do a lot of things now that are coming up. And December will be here before you know it, so we're trying to prepare this year for those 2 major projects, and we're going to be involved with the stand down for the military. They're part of us, so we'll be working with them this year too. So we've got a lot of plans.
Well, we'll definitely bring you back and get the update.
Okay, I'd love to.
Thank you so much for coming on the
You're
show.
more than welcome.
All right, it's housekeeping time. Housekeeping, housekeeping, housekeeping. This is where I ask you guys to consider giving some money to Radical Christianity so that we can continue these wonderful programs. There is a lot that we want to do to make the show more fun and a lot more interesting. And also we want to extend the show's outreach. And these things are very difficult to do without the proper funding. And the way we get the proper funding is through generous donations from people just like you. So if you are watching the show right now and you can spare $5, $10, $15, $20, $100 or more, that would be a blessing to us, a blessing to you, and a blessing to the kingdom. So again, thank you for watching, and on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a really special guest. This gentleman comes a big part of my life. I have known him since I was a pup. And I want you all to show a awesome Radical Christianity warm welcome for Mitch Ribera. Woo! Hey, Mitch. So good to have you.
How about that pump stuff? Yeah. What qualifies as a pump?
Under 18.
Yes.
We'll leave it there. Mitch, welcome to Radical Christianity.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Yes.
Drew, or do I call you Andrew, or what do you go by?
Well, I go by Drew, but
Drew,
you've
okay.
known me forever, so
I know. All right.
Andrew's not out of line for you.
Well, no, that's probably when you're in trouble.
Usually when I'm in trouble.
Yeah, right.
So Mitch and I go back to when I was a pup, which says a lot, just so you know. Yeah, so Mitch, how you doing?
Good. Life is good right now. You know, we're I'm in a good season. My family's in a good season, but not without its own set of challenges and opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. So the way we kind of start things here, now I've heard this a bunch of times, but the audience may not have, is we start off with your testimony, you know, how you met Jesus, and then how that led into your ministry.
Yeah, well, the backstory to my spiritual journey really has to do with my grandparents, some really godly grandparents that met Christ early in their life and were wholeheartedly devoted to Him, active in the church, but hyper-religious people. You know, they were like, so what that meant is my mom, it was a lot of rules, very fundamentalism, kind of driven household, Pentecostal, you know, some crazy church stuff. And so my mom, when she was 18, she got out of the house and married a Catholic. I guess that's one track you can take.
That's her way to rebel, right?
Well, yeah, that was a form of rebellion, I think, in that era. And so what that led to was marriage and 3 boys in 3 years. I was the third of 3 sons. And the reason why this is such an integral part of my testimony is that it was an ill-fated marriage, really, I think, from the beginning. You know, other than the connection of having 3 kids together, there wasn't a lot relationally with my mom and dad. So they divorced when I was young, 5 years old. And my mom was a single mom for 3 years. Well, here's what happened. We didn't do much church when I was a kid. I didn't know that. You know, you're a kid. I wasn't thinking about church. But when my mom became a single mom with 3 young boys, she went back to her roots. Like she knew she needed to find a church to get us connected to. And eventually that led us to Northwest Church. Mm-hmm. And so almost simultaneously, when I was 13 years old at the time, I went to a basketball camp called Snow Valley Basketball Camp, Westmont College. It was a basketball camp. It wasn't a church camp. It wasn't anything related to church. But my 2 brothers, the 3 of us, went to this basketball camp. There was a guy from the Navigators at a cafeteria one afternoon for lunch, he came and sat next to us, explained the gospel, and I'll never forget this, vivid like it was yesterday. All three of us marched outside of the cafeteria at Westmont College, kneeled, all three of us knelt down, got down on our knees, and received Christ, and it was life-changing for all three of us. So I'm kind of a full throttle guy. Whatever I decide to do, I'm just all in. And what I discovered was when I met Jesus, I didn't think there was any other way to do it. Like I was all in. So here I'm a teenager. I'm going to 2 6 a.m. Bible studies, and I was just like fully into it. And so most people that knew me, in my younger years would have said, man, he was a devout Christian, really a serious Christ follower. So many weren't surprised when eventually in college I got this call to ministry. There were some that were surprised, mostly referees, because I'm a pretty competitive athlete. They were surprised that I became a minister. But a lot of my friends knew that I just had strong spiritual convictions. And I look back now, I got the call to ministry in 1982. So I've been at it, 40 years, almost 40 years vocationally. And I'm still humbled. I'm still really humbled by the invitation that God gave me. Because I went to Fresno State, played soccer. I got a business degree because I was planning to get into my dad's real estate business. My dad had a successful real estate company. And I was the only son that was interested, and he was very excited about me coming into the business. And but God had another purpose for my life, and he revealed that to me. And so, yeah, the rest is history. But I'm very, very thankful, Drew, that I got saved at an early age, 13 years old. So it really kept me on a straight path. I got connected to a great church. Northwest Church at the time was like the church in town. Everybody says the church, but it was really an exciting place where people were getting saved and really growing up in their faith. It was had a lot of strong youth ministries, really appealed to youth. So it was a great church to land, for us as a family to land, early in my spiritual development. And that has really shaped I have an intense love for Jesus and an intense love for his church. 40 years later, and some guy, the church. And when people have negative feelings or church hurt, I understand that. I've seen the underbelly. I'm intimately acquainted with the underbelly of the church. But the church is people, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful mess, with God, Christ as the head. And so I still have great affection for his church too, and how he works through broken people.
Yeah. So, like we've known each other for a long time, so I know a lot of your story. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to ask questions I already know the answers to, but I actually am also, I know both your brothers. Mike was involved in the youth group when I was in the youth group, and I went to school with Matt.
Yeah.
So so it's so there's like I not only I know you for a long time, I've known your family for a very long time.
My brother, I'm one of the few people that can say my brother was Jesus for 7 years. He got the role portraying Jesus 7 consecutive Easters at Soroyan Theater. So I like to say I trained. I was Jesus' partner, gym partner. Yeah, because I'd work him out. I'd kid him. I go, look, man, when you're hanging up on the cross, I don't want you looking like a weenie, a weakling, right? We can't have that, man. I want you to have some washboard abs and looking good up there. Anyhow, we had a lot of fun with that. My brother was really my brother was my best friend and really a spiritual mentor and hero of mine. As you know, he was diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma.
Yeah.
Brain cancer at 49 and went to be with the Lord at 53 years old, too early.
Yeah.
But he was a remarkable man, a remarkable Christ follower. I learned a lot of what it means to be a follower of Jesus and a Christian man from my brother.
Your brother taught me what it means to lead by listening.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine a talkative younger brother like me? You know, I look back and I wish I'd picked that up sooner. He was a great role model in that way. He's very patient with me. He knew I was just hyper and really enthusiastic, but he's very patient with me, and he was a great listener, a great teacher, and a great encourager. That's the thing. I would say, other than my wife, he was by far, you know, moms are obviously typically, you know, your number one raving fan. Mm-hmm. But my brother, my older brother, was like, I always felt like nobody championed me in my life, in my journey more than him. That's what made his death such a crushing blow. You know, he really was. He was an enormous encourager. And I tell people all the time, Drew, like, we all need encouragers in our life. You know, we need people, not that just, you know, puff us full of sunshine, you know, but people that really do genuinely care about us and our well-being. My brother was that way. He was just very other-oriented. He did not have an inflated ego. You know, I look back now and think, well, man, what was it like to have a younger brother that in some ways I got a lot more fanfare than he did. He was very successful in his own right, but he was always my number one fan, you know, just championing what I was doing in the church, and that's remarkable, you know, for an older brother to give that kind of deference and love and support to a younger brother. So I try to do the same for young emerging leaders now. You know, I really have an affection for encouraging younger leaders, you know, that, and part of that I really think is a part of my brother's legacy in my life, the way he influenced me.
Yeah. I have tremendous love for both your brothers, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And of course for you, you know, you've been there, and I've gotten tough love from Mitch a few times in my life.
Yeah, tough love. It's a gift. I mean, you know, if you think about it, if you really care about people, really care, you'll say difficult things when they need to be said.
Yeah.
I used to be a little more enthusiastic about saying it. Mm. Now I'm a little more reserved, but it's almost painful. It's more like a parental, you know, I don't want to be tough on you, but you need that right now, because somebody's got to speak the truth in love, you know, as Paul writes about. And I heard a podcast recently, I'm trying to remember who it was, but he was talking about the difference between, I think it was Craig Rochelle. Difference between, like, it used to be tough love, you know, that was kind of the philosophy, you got a tough love. And he said, I like to think of it more as love tough. So love is the lead, but, you know, occasionally you got to be a little tough. It's kind of a different posture, you know, tough love versus loving tough. I think for me that it speaks to me because it just feels a little kinder, a little more gentle.
Yeah, well, you've always been a take no flack kind of guy, you know, like you don't have patience for BS.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think part of it is I've just learned. I've learned that I think Jesus was willing, if people were not interested, or you really don't want what I'm offering, it's okay. Just move on to, there's others that will or do. Mm-hmm. So, and for me, it sounds strange. I'm 62. I have this little slide rule in my office. It reminds me that from that, most of my work life is behind me, and I only really have a short window left of really significant influence. And I think about that all the time. I want to make my these years really count. You know, I'd like to exercise as much influence as possible while I can before it's time for me to move aside, you know, or move on to the next assignment. I tell people I'm gonna work as long as I can, not because I have to, but as long as I can make a contribution to some enterprise or mission. I want to be a part of that. My dad has all sorts of incomes. He doesn't need to work another day of his life. He's working at 83.
Mm.
You know, it might be a couple days a week, but he tells me it's good to have meaningful assignments to give time and energy and attention to.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to meet people, you know, keep your world from becoming too small. So,
You keep
yeah.
putting yourself out there, God's going to use you, you know?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of, and I really like to encourage people that are, I'm a grandparent of 7 grandkids, a young grandparent, but I encourage people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, you have a lot to contribute still. A lot of wisdom. And what I find is, you know, contrary to a lot of, I think, false narrative, a lot of young people are eager to have older people sow into them. You know, they love that wisdom. People sharing wisdom, and you know, they've paid rent, made some bad decisions in their life, and you know, being able to talk through that and help. So I love trying to engage older people to like invest. There's
Yeah.
a lot of young people that are eager to have people who just have more life experience and wisdom share life with them.
So let's talk about the AMP program.
Yes. Alpha male program. Now, here's the thing. Alpha male, that has some interesting connotations in the culture in which we live. That might not be a real positive. It looks good on a brochure, and it's easy to market. But the way I describe it is, I'm not the originator. I didn't develop the program. I inherited it, and all I've done is tried to refine it and make it a lot better. But the idea was to create a discipleship pathway for men who are somewhat typical of, you know, the kind of the social dynamics of men, and that is, you know, in their early 30s, married with kid or kids and friendless.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole goal of the ministry and the pathway from the beginning was relationship. You know, how do we create space and an environment where men can connect with other men and develop friendships while simultaneously growing in their relationship with the Lord. So the way we do it is it's 9 months. It's 35 Wednesday nights for 90 minutes. Create some shared work experience stuff that we do, you know, like some serve opportunities. We do a camp, Hume Lake, typically Hume Lake. So what happens, it's beautiful to watch, Drew, because over 9 months, you can have guys that it might take them a month to remember the guys' names at the table. I'm not trying to dumb down dudes, but you know how we are. We just don't pay attention, and we're not even really paying attention to a dude's name. So, you know, and Jamie runs the female, the Real Women, the female kind of counterpart to AMP. And she's got they're best friends, you know, week 2.
Right.
Well, that's not how it works with dudes. So I'm like, I got to keep the table tents up there for like months, sometimes even beyond Christmas. We start in September. I got to keep them up there for months just so guys start. I give them a pictorial roster so they can actually have pictures. Mm-hmm. They can assign pictures to the names. I do everything I can to help them. But
you need that in an app. So
yeah. But all kidding aside, what happens is you just watch these guys. They start to do life together. They go to camp together, and all of a sudden you see this beautiful connection app. We call it a band of brothers. You just become a band of brothers. And there's something really special about men when they feel like they're a part of a band of brothers. And because the relationships, you know, gel, they just get softer and more open to developing spiritually too. They kind of let down the defenses a little bit. little less conscientious about what they know or don't know, and it's just beautiful to watch. And we've done this. Just commenced my fourth cohort, and more than 100 guys have gone through this 9-month discipleship journey, and it's fun. I mean, I can see the impact when I come on a Sunday morning at church. Because these guys, they're connected. It used to be maybe they just walk in the side door, go to their same seat, park it, do church, and leave.
Yeah.
Now they're sticking around. They see some of their buddies. They go and hang out. Their kids interacting on the playground. It's just...
There's also accountability.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff that comes from that.
And other things spring from it. We've got guys... excuse me, I'm part of a group text, a thread with 20 guys. You would think these guys were a small church. They're communicating every day about anything and everything. Prayer requests, some joyous thing, that celebratory moment in their lives, that happened with their family or a kid. It's really, it's fun. It's like a snapshot of the early church. Where they're gathering together daily, they're sharing meals, they're fellowshipping, they're breaking bread. So it's beautiful to see that happening, in 2023.
Yeah.
In this fast-paced culture that we live in. So it's really, really beautiful. But AMP is one of the most enjoyable things I do. It's if that was the only thing I did at the church, I'd be fine. I mean, I love all the other opportunities I get, but there's something about being able to pour into and disciple men, just shepherd a small band of brothers for 9 months. It's really special.
I imagine it's quite gratifying. I have actually wanted to do the AMP program, but the time commitment for somebody who's loaded down like me is kind of difficult. I promised Liz I'd help her on Thursday nights. So.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So,
we're Wednesday night, but I totally get it, because I tell guys up front, like, here's the thing, it's a big commitment.
Huge. 9
I
months.
totally get that.
E212 was massive too, and I did that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's 35 weeks. I'm asking for 35 weeks. And, you said kind of a no-nonsense. I just tell them, look, Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything else is from the evil one. So that's all I want from you. If you're no, say no with conviction, I understand. But if you say yes, I'm asking for 35 weeks. 35 Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And so, guys, that's why I'm so proud of the guys when they commence, when they finish. I'm like, this was not a small commitment for a man. I always think about it this way. Somebody's gone to work all day long. They barely had time to maybe shovel some food down their throat and get to a 6:30 class at church that goes till 8 o'clock at night, which means they're going to have to get home. They're getting home late. It's a long day. So that's why I try to bring a lot of energy on Wednesday nights. Let the guys know how grateful I am, man. I know some of you are dragging. You're not going to be dragging when we get done tonight. It's going to be an energizing evening. And what happens is it becomes a little contagious. Yeah.
So you still have openings left?
I
Or
do.
did you fill it up?
We enrollment's going good this year. 2 weeks, we got 16 guys registered. We'll take up to 30 guys. So there's still room, space.
Okay, and when does it officially start? When does it officially roll?
Starts first Wednesday night of September.
Okay.
So
you got it's
there's
a good,
time.
Yeah.
But I always tell guys, like my wife Jamie and I hosted at our church a couple weeks ago, and it was the it was finally the website, it went live on the website, registration opened up. She had 29 registrations before it even opened up. So I got up there, I had one. It's very typical. I don't want to be, it's just genders. Women will sign up right away. Men will wait, last minute. And I always encourage guys, look, just think it through. If this is your time, register now. Because we're getting to a place now, the last few years, it fills up. It used to be, I'd have to keep pushing it pretty hard all the way to August.
Yeah, I remember last year I asked and it had already filled up. And I was like,
Yeah, so I just encourage guys, I know how we operate. I'll register, sometime before September.
I'm like that.
Yeah.
I'll procrastinate if I can.
Yeah.
These days, I don't get too much room to procrastinate.
Yeah.
God's been kicking me pretty hard. He's all like, do this, do this, do this. Now it's time to do this. You get some free time? Here, do this.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Managing time is, and being a good steward of time is essential.
Yeah. Being a good steward of time is very essential. My biggest problem is like I will not let myself say no to God. So, if God says yes, I will find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
If God asks, I will find a way to make it work. So.
Yeah. I guess the challenge is a lot of those asks come from other people. We have to discern which are from
God and which aren't.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Because I can't say yes to everything spiritual that comes in the way of a request.
Mm-hmm.
So I always want to be discerning, about making sure I'm saying yes to the important things that God has for me, which starts with a relationship with Him, my wife, our kids, our grandkids, keeping those priorities right.
Yeah. I think I don't have those kind of priorities, and God takes, like God knows. He's all like, well, you got that free time.
Yeah. Well, then you're being a good steward.
Yeah.
You don't have some additional responsibilities that a married man or a father with children has.
Yeah, I don't. And, to a lot of guys out there, they're like, oh, well, you're free. It's awesome. You're just free. Like, yeah, no, at my age, I look at my situation as, I'm unlikely to end up having a family. So I'm missing out on a big part of the joy of life. You know what I mean? Hopefully God has a plan in that somewhere, but it's like, I look at people who like you have grandkids and other people have, kids that are getting, Sean's my age and his kids are graduating high school and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, it's like, I see like the ship has passed. I mean, I'm not Hemingway. I'm not going to have kids in my 60s, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, Drew, the scripture's pretty clear. There's a gift to singleness as well, and spiritual opportunity there that's presented because of your singleness. That's sometimes a gift. Sometimes it's a gift from God. The other thing is, the scripture's pretty clear that a family begins with a husband-wife relationship. So I always tell people you don't have to have kids to have a family. Like a family unit starts with a husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are welcomed additions. And I emphasize that because we have a lot of, I don't want to overgeneralize, but I see a lot of too much emphasis and focus on the kids,
mm-hmm.
where the kids really become the centerpiece of the family, and that's not God's design. The husband-wife relationship is the priority relationship in the family. And so I was encouraged, when you get married, you are a family. Because some are unable to have kids. That doesn't make you not a family. The other thing that I'd encourage you to think about too, and lots of people, single or whatever season of life you're in, you can be a spiritual father to a lot of people. You really can. Mm-hmm. You can bring that kind of fatherly influence. And the reason I say that is here's what I've discovered. I think it was Gordon MacDonald that really helped me understand this. He's a pastor and author. But he said at a certain point in his ministry, he realized, I'm speaking more with like a fatherly voice. He was aging and had kids and grandkids. And that's kind of how I feel now. I feel like I speak more with a father's voice, and that's gives me a unique position and connection with people that are younger than me. It's almost like you can bring spiritual influence into a person's life. It's gentle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
it's not parental, if you know what I'm saying. It's not really parental. It's It's kind of a gentle, fatherly, grandfatherly voice.
Yeah. It's a love and wisdom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mitch, you've been a big part of my life, and I'm grateful for you. I mean, I don't.
Thank you.
Mitch baptized me when I was 16 at Rancho Agua Viva in the pond. That water was filthy.
Filthy and freezing. Yes, yes. Filthy and freezing. Yes.
Yeah, so you have influenced me knowingly and unknowingly many times, and I'm grateful for you, and I'm thankful to have you in my life.
Thank you.
And I'm very thankful for you to come and be a guest on Radical Christianity.
My pleasure. Any opportunity I have to just come and lift up Jesus and share my story, I'm all in.
Thank you so much. It was great having you.
Thank you.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us again today on Radical Christianity. This show is a special episode, and the people in this episode are very special to me. You can tell. I want you to think about what they had to say and what they're doing. If you can volunteer your time, if you can volunteer your money, that's a great thing, right? But this is also really important. For those of you out there who have been thinking about taking Jesus into your heart, or maybe you need to rededicate your life to Christ, this is a great opportunity right now. You can, with me sitting here, you can just talk to Jesus, and he'll listen. He's listening right now. He's listening all the time, in fact. You just say, Jesus, I need you. My life isn't going to be right without you. I want you to come into my world and turn me into the person you need me to be. And if you do that, you are in the kingdom. If you basically believe in your heart and say with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you are saved. And it's really easy. The praying is just a formality. Jesus knows if you're making that commitment, but you got to say it, You got to say it. I mean, repentance is important. All these things are important, but those kind of things do come in time. I mean, you're going to have a repentive heart anyway. But it's so important that if Jesus is knocking at your door, you let him in, because he is going to work on you. It won't happen overnight. It's going to happen over a period of time. For some people, it does happen like almost overnight. That's always a miracle in my mind. But Jesus is there for you. And if you had made the commitment to Jesus, asked him into your heart during the show, I want to know about it. Please write me. Go to RAD for Christ, that's RAD, the number 4, Christ.com, and tell me. Send me a note that says Got Saved form. Click that thing, says Got Saved, fill out the form, let me know. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a Bible and possibly a little gift, and let you know that we're welcoming you to the family of God. All right? And it's great to have a Bible, right? If you don't have one, you really could use one, okay? Also, on that website, you will find that there's a place where you can ask a question. If you have a prayer request, if you just want to contact us, sign up for our newsletter, whatever it is, we would love to hear from you. We would love to be engaged in your life. And if you need something from us, we are here to serve. So please reach out to us. And this is super important. I want you guys to remember this thing no matter what. That is, Jesus Christ loves you. And so do I. Thank you for watching Radical Christianity. We will see you next week.
And I'm not giving up, I'm not giving up, no, not me. Even if nobody else believes, I'm not going down that easily. So don't give up on me. I will hold.
It's a mystery.